1 minute ahead of schedule. Uh, it's funny because there was like a bit of an open possibility that I was going to be a couple minutes late launching this rather than early to any extent, but that did not come to pass. Let me just do some cross-posting here in a de facto sense. Let's see. Yeah, gee, I wonder where I was this weekend. It was a very, very good show on Friday night. Coincided with Red Sox walk-off win, so everyone was happy at North Station, whatever they were doing. Shut up. I said that to my own voice. That's the irony there. Everything I say is so stupid. Anyway, yes, this is what I was looking for. So, before we get into the meat of this week, hold on just a moment. Yet again, just gotta tend to one more thing and then I can fully concentrate. Insert exhibit reference here. Let's see what we got. Okay. Yeah, so, quick shout out. Shut the fuck up. I swear to God, Liam. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, the only problem I have with that is just the potential bleed through. I want to give some quick shout outs to the current version of the Greg Hill show on WEEI. Apologies for like the slight flub I made when trying to touch upon that topic last week during my stream of consciousness. For having some pretty big time Bruins alumni call-ins for to remember the life and career of Lyndon Byers and how they were touched by his presence. And additionally, of course, to the Greg Hill Foundation, for doing a great job assembling the memorial fund to support the Byers family and pushing it out there. It is now up to $40,000, or to be precise, $40,252.89 of its $60,000 goal, at least publicly. Let's see. There is, it does seem the possibility that there have been some private donations made by various individuals and entities that have probably meant that that I just saw that comment there. It's very well done. That have probably put the Byers family in even better standing in this very volatile and difficult aftermath. But what we do know, based off of public correspondence from the Greg Hill Foundation, is that the Boston Bruins contributed $25,000, and the Bork Family Foundation contributed $10,000, and they additionally indicated that Ernie Bach, of course, big-time figure in the automotive industry in this region, contributed $10,000 to that fund as well. So it's been really good to see the the outpouring of support there. But I did drop the link for the fund in the comments as it continues to march towards its goal. Any contributions, any sharing will be welcomed, of course. Um, but yeah, of course, it's worth noting that the foundation will be matching donations up to 60K, uh, up to its 60K goal. Uh, really getting the more that this advances towards the finish line, the more it's going to count for. You know, uh, hoping to see some more communal support. But with that, addressed thoroughly, uh, I guess we can move into the primary focus for this week, which is less directly NHL related, as things have come to a bit of a lull. We had our crown jewel already in the form of the Mitch Marner trade and contract, which we did not address on air because we had more urgent matters to attend to with last week's tribute episode, of course. And it's, we've kind of already hit the point now after almost 2 weeks of free agency where the most interesting stuff has already transpired, which means we're going to be moving more into different alternative content options in the coming times. But of course, the primary one is the big, long rumored transformation that was going to be the big defining headline of the CHL to NCAA pipeline that has opened up since the unlocking of the Forbidden Door in November did finally occur with the official announcement of Gavin McKenna's commitment to Penn State. With him playing in Happy Valley beginning this coming season and receiving a whopping name, image, and likeness deal of $700,000, which, really just absolutely dwarfed every offer that was on the table. Like, that was more than twice the amount that even on the higher end of what Mich State had to offer as the other finalist in that race. So now that really just means that things will be on the table for the future, really, in like a big way for just about anyone who's interested in taking that path. That the biggest fish has been scooped up, which was like already like a rumor was kicking around ever since, and was really intensified and seen as a strong possibility when a fellow 2026 WHL top draft base prospect made his commitment to North Dakota in the form of Keaton Verhoff of the Victoria Royals. His counterpart as the other big kahuna from who has been developed in that league in the form of the Medicine Hat Tigers, now former wonderkind, who's seen as the next in line in the Canadian succession line after Connor Bedard, and perceived by many as a generational talent, has opted to make Happy Valley his home for at least one season. I did have to admit, when our boy Matt said he'd be making that sort of dough for the next 4 years, I'm like, I highly doubt that this is going to be more than a one and done, man. This is probably going to be one of those basketball scenarios. But with that in mind, I'm not going to treat anything as a lock, considering that guys have their own decisions to make about whether or not this path is right for them. I mean, after being drafted by the Blackhawks, as I talked about in the GC not too long ago, Jack Pridham of the Kitchener Rangers opted not to pursue that path at Boston University and chose to decommit. But this does open the door for like the next couple of years, the likes of Lyndon DuPont, uh, Maddox Schultz, Liam Pugh. They're going to be like very hardly pursued. And I imagine that like the family advisors and overall representation will be like citing this as the precedent of what to expect in terms of like what's going to occur, which it should be entertaining seeing this arms race, go off in terms of like the big uh, blue blood programs and just programs with a lot of dough. Since Penn State is basically buying a team at this point, which hey, I can't hate on them for that. Um, just seeing what how they handle this new era of recruiting.
So what you're saying is it's not a scene.
It's a goddamn arms race. That's right. But I digress.
Yeah. You know, I'm just saying, Fall Out Boy, ever since Fall Out Boy came out, Chicago sports has been doing fairly okay, The White Sox went to a World Series, the Cubs
And
won a
one
World
one.
Series.
And 1-1. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, both of them ended their curses. Like fucking the White Sox was an 88 year one, and then of course the curse of the Billy Goats like that took those MFs like 71 years just to win a pennant, and then 108 years to win a ring. Uh I always thought it was funny too how Chicago like the Southsiders like their curse started in 1917 and ended in 2005 with their red sock wearing counterparts having theirs last from 1918 to 2004. Like it's another one of those numerology moments. Yeah. Then of course we had that hockey team do pretty well right for themselves for a bit. Of course, not with the most moral fiber attached to their name, but it was a thing.
but we can't blame Fall Out Boy for that because they were on hiatus when that incident occurred. So like, Fall Out Boy, you get a pass for the first two Chicago hockey championships. You aren't stained with their legacy since you guys were on a hiatus back then. It's like they fucking knew. So fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's perfect because the final show at MSG happened like right as the 09-10 season was beginning, effectively. Like, talk about just serendipitous. Like you could make like a pretty persuasive case for that.
No, I wonder, did Patrick Stump know? Did he just look at the state of the Joel Quenneville Blackhawks and say some bad shit's gonna happen? I don't want to be in the public spotlight. Like, I want to make sure that nobody ever references my fucking band in the same conversation with that Blackhawks allegations. And you know what, Patrick? Fuck you. We did it. And I mean, hey, he paid for it with a pound of flesh with that awful Banana Splits reboot.
True that. I was looking at a picture of Brad Aldrich from those days, And he doesn't inherently look like a creep, but I can imagine him being like a Warped Tour goer. So him fitting that overall social phenotype isn't terribly surprising. God damn it. If not in a Warped Tour band at that.
You know, looking at a picture of Brad Aldrich right now, he just kind of looks like the kind of guy who would hang out at the back of a post-hardcore show, but like not in the sense of like, you're trying to put together a thought here. You know, he doesn't have like, no, I guess he does, he kind of gives me like Jesse Lacey vibes. Like
Yeah,
the guy who hangs out at the back of a post-hardcore show and doesn't actually look like he should be there, but he's gonna get some unconsenting human to go along with his escapades by the end of the night.
very casually.
Very, the quiet things that no one knows about.
Fuck. Oh god. All right. I'm gonna pivot us back on target before this gets any worse. So as I've addressed on this pod a number of times, like, and how I kind of hit upon like to an extent in my opening tract, like I think that this situation will be fluid. Like I don't think this necessarily is going to be a death knell for these leagues that have been around for a long time and have like survived through different transformations of other kinds throughout the years. And I think we'll just have an answer to be relevant. But I'll consult upon what Jack Hahn, who of course very insightful individual on hockey Twitter when it comes to player development related matters, had to say on this topic. He says, of course, and now I have to note that, as did eventually come to pass as we suspected, and as we talked about very early on in this pod's history, that this could end up being something that had a finite lifespan. The latest CBA provisions have, which I guess also will be addressed correspondingly with the CHL NCAA, CHL NHL agreement. Starting in 26-27, teams will be able to have a few. Let me look at the exact terms. I want to get the number right. I want to say it's 3. Let's see. Yes. So a new provision in the NHL's collective bargaining agreement will allow NHL teams to assign one 19-year-old player. Okay, yeah, that's right. It was just one. 19-year-old CHL player to the AHL affiliate per season. Starting in the 26-27 campaign, which of course goes against the original rule that had players from the OHL, WHL, and QMJHL not being able to be reassigned with certain exceptions, such as conditioning stints, allowing for a finite number of games, which of course allowed Shane Wright to be grandfathered in the following season, as well as if their junior season has come to an end, until they were 20 years old, or had played 4 CHL seasons. But of course, that does also entail that 18-year-olds are ineligible still with those aforementioned exceptions. But That's probably fine. I think 19 is like a good stage, especially if you're treating it as like an exceptional player status thing where you're using your 19-year-old CHL guy who probably really needs the AHL reps and to play against grown men on a consistent basis, to be the thing. It's a good amendment, but this is what Han had to say on this topic. It's a good thread. I definitely recommend following him at JHan HAN Hockey HKY on X. He writes, the CHL, NCAA, AHL landscape is changing. Here's a thread for players and coaches impacted by the new regulations. There are 64 NCAA D1 men's hockey teams compared to 60 CHL teams. NCAA has essentially doubled its recruitment base without expanding the number of available roster spots, with Tennessee State University being the only new program. Of course, their launching will be either delayed, if not canceled outright, due to different logistical and financial issues happening at the college itself, from my understanding. But anyway, more demand for D1 roster spots plus equal supply of spots equals favorable condition for teams. With the transfer portal being an increasingly important team building tool, it all points to the NCAA becoming a stronger league, but also one with more player movement in, around, and out of the league. Fewer student athletes are going to be able to play 4 years at the same place. Playing 1 to 2 years, then graduating to pro hockey is a desired outcome for the very top prospects, but getting your scholarship pulled for underperforming on the ice is a huge life disruption for middle and lower in the lineup players. Some players will thrive in this cutthroat environment, while others may favor stability over quality of competition and the prestige of playing D1. CHL and U Sports programs should expect a number of commits to come back. In a few years, once the ecosystem finds a new equilibrium, we'll probably see the CHL get a bit younger, with the best 19 to 20-year-olds moving to NCAA and then pro, which may actually be a good thing in terms of player dev, giving 16 to 18-year-olds more playing opportunities in the CHL. Speaking of development, he quote tweets Scott Wheeler. A big dev hurdle for North Americans is the fact that the CHL to AHL jump is way too big. Allowing 19-year-old CHLers to play AHL is going to help a small minority of top prospects, but hurt a larger number of early NHL picks. Wheeler writes, not sure if this is out there yet, but there's a lot of chatter amongst agents/CHL clubs about the AHL moving from its long-standing 20-year-old rule for major junior players to 19-year-old entry. They want to see the language, but sounds like it's happening in some form, which is addressed already. The purpose of the new rule is to make the CHL relatively more attractive and to give NHL teams flexibility on how to develop their top prospects. Good idea in theory, but because it creates a new option. Debatable idea in practice because playing AHL at 19 is a punch in the face. When I was with Toronto, Timothy Liljegren played AHL as a D+1 player. He did all right, but had to be heavily sheltered/load managed. Got most of his points on the first power play unit and wasn't a factor at 5v5. It will be tempting for teams to put players like Roger McLean or Matthew Schaefer in the AHL as soon as possible. But overexposing a young player, one, makes them play on survival mode, which isn't great for their offensive ceiling. Two, creates frustration on the team's part. Let's see. Think of all great players Florida got for pennies on the dollar, such as Sam Reinhart, Sam Bennett, Gustav Forsling, etc. The common denominator is that the teams that drafted them got prospect fatigue and gave up on them after overexposing them too early. Playing CHL between the ages of 17 and 18, NCAA 19, 20, 21, and AHL after that is a fine dev path for the majority of NHL drafted players. CHL European Pro AHL is also an emerging option. That one more and one that more North Americans can benefit from, the ease the junior to AHL transition, as a as Han quote tweets statistical analyst Mika Arpanen, who's replied, "Still waiting for another high-end prospect to have that aha moment that Austin Matthews had and come to Europe for the draft year. Playing against pros would be very beneficial for those that are clearly too good for juniors already." Let's see. Han makes one more point. He writes, "Meanwhile, I'd suggest that a number of good, not great Swedish prospects would gain from playing NCAA or U Sports rather than play second or third division men's league or quit altogether. The cultural exchange is enriching and it would add a skill component to U Sports especially." Let's see. A few takeaways. Players figure out what loyalty you expect from the teams recruiting you. NCAA coaches balance roster continuity with getting the best talent. U Sports coaches start talking to NCAA returnees and Europeans, which isn't out of thin air either. I'm trying to think. Who was that a couple of years ago? Let's see. Metropolitan University. Get the hell out of here. Oh, yes, there we go. Artyom Duda, who was drafted by Arizona. Let's see, at 36th overall, round 2 in 2022. Of course, now assigned to an ELC with Utah, and playing in Tucson. Had a pretty good year last year with as a first year pro defenseman. Had 6 goals, 23 assists, and a plus 15 in 70 games in the regular season. He spent his D+1. No, my bad. His D+2 after having spent his D+1 in CSKA Moscow's system, kind of bouncing up the ladder a bit. 14 games in the KHL, 3 in the VHL, 14 in the MHL, with Toronto Metro University in U Sports, which, not even a particularly reputable program, but it was a valuable enough dev environment for him to get a pro deal and do well for himself. So it's not like it's something that's completely off the table. It is an interesting point that Han makes there. But lastly, he says NHL orgs don't rush prospects into the AHL, which, probably one of the most valuable talking points that can be had about this whole thing, really.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. There are guys who I think are at that stage where I think it's a good spot for them to get that sort of exposure to pro comp. But it is while the AHL isn't this wild, wild West league that sounds like fake with how violent it is as it once was, I do think that it is definitely a very demanding environment. And one point I make about the CHL is that, its schedule is definitely the most pro ready one, even if its comp isn't. I think 68 regular season games plus, a potentially very lengthy postseason is definitely one of those things that I think part of why it's been so useful for development over the years is that, it's just one of those leagues, especially when you consider that there is a considerable amount of travel as well due to the size geographically of Canadian provinces, as well as the fact that a number of those leagues, a number of those teams, due to the presence of U.S.-based teams in the OHL and WHL, get in the habit of traveling across the border and the demands that entails. So from like a grind standpoint, it is useful in a way that is definitely like very translatable, but the physical demands of the pro game, are a whole other story from, what these guys have been exposed to already. Of course, I think some organizations get the pro preparedness thing right more than others. Like I think London and Medicine Hat, as I've addressed in the past, have that model down very, very well. But you can't treat everybody coming from that environment the same for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I think a narrative that gets lost a lot, especially with the AHL, is it's, and we've spoken about this on in the early episodes of this podcast. Like, it's really easy to forget that the AHL is still one of the top professional leagues in the world. Like, in terms of its pace and quality of play, like the KHL, SHL, and AHL are all within the same conversation of pace of play, skill level, and physicality, with obviously different varying degrees of ability across all of them. Like, it's not like the AHL is not a top professional league, and I think people really often just think of it as a feeder league because of players developing there, of making the jump from either junior or the collegiate level, games where you have at times, and I've talked about this with one of the challenges with the PWHL as well, comparing the logic of a true feeder league for the PW is, if you play in, and I'm using like your quality of competition being what it is, you're right on the money with the scheduling challenges of, or the schedule of the CHL being more akin to the professional leagues, of like, if you're in the NCAA and you're not, even if you are playing Hockey East, your intra-conference schedule is going to feed you four to six gimmies a year. You're going to have your non-conference gimme games as well. Like in the AHL, even the bad teams can beat the best teams. Like the parity is similar to the NHL, where you have the grind 76 games a year of, if you take a night off, you're riding the pine. And I don't think people always realize the grind at that level of professional play that exists in the AHL.
Yeah, and that I also would note that with the NCAA, like scheduling demands, basically like entailing that those guys play just barely over half as many games as the CHL schedule entails. Like it's just it's not like well, I think that the comp quality, especially now with this massive recruiting advantage that the NCAA has been granted, is pretty steep. I think the overwhelming majority of years, the the national champs would absolutely crush the Memorial Cup champions. There's no denying that. I think this year it would maybe be more of a worthy conversation, given somewhat. Obviously, I respect the way that Western Mich put together their team, but with the absurd number of NHL draft picks on that London Knights team, and just how dominant they were, it's a more worthy talk about who could actually come away with that being the winner. But like there's no denying that NCAA D1 is, more of a slog in terms of who you have to face, even bearing in mind that, the Blue Bloods do have it easy, as you point out, for a fair number of times. And of course, just with the primary point in mind, just like, the conditioning demands for that schedule are nowhere near what they are for a lot of other, like, just dev environments, never mind the pros.
I think it'd be fun, you know, coming back to an age-old NFL discussion, to really visualize this. And obviously, this is a contest that could never happen. Like, if the worst team in the AHL played the national champions in the NCAA in a 7-game series, would the NCAA champions A, score more than 4 goals, and B, lose by less than 3 a night? Like, it's just one of those things that I always think about is just the quality of competition of a good pro league versus, the college ecosystem. Like, and we've known this, like, no college national champion team in football could beat an NFL team.
No.
And I feel like the same logic probably still applies to the NCAA and the worst AHL team. Never, like, if the if the San Jose Sharks played Western Mich, it would mercy you after the first period.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So this year it would be the Western Michigan Broncos versus the Bridgeport Islanders, who finished with a record of 15, 54, and 3 with 37 points to their name. Goal differential of minus 113.
Yeah, I still think they win 4 straight.
100%. Yeah, I don't
Easy.
think
Yeah.
none of those games would be close either. Yes, so it's a 72 game schedule, by the way, of course, as you
Mm.
determined mathematically, but you were in the right ballpark.
I was reflecting on the days of Chell 15 with the AHL 76 game schedule, and unfortunately have not properly educated myself in the decade that has passed since Chell peaked.
Not a problem.
It's a weird sentence. When Chell peaked.
I also feel the need to point out that the AHL postseason schedule is fucking absurd, as we've noticed in the past.
Yes.
Uh, that first round, you know, the division semifinals, the division finals, the conference finals, the Calder Cup finals. I don't even mind that the first 3 rounds are a best of 5 because it's just fucking stupid. Like, goddamn.
I remember, like, really, again, dating myself. I remember during, I think it was the 2014 playoff run for the Monarchs,
Second through fourth, but you know what I mean. But keep going.
realizing, like, how truly batshit insane that whole gauntlet is.
Yeah,
Gotta
it's one
love
of
back-to-backs.
yeah, it's absurd, and like it also like think that you know it's like these guys like have like probably like the travel's got to be pretty brutal, like considering not just the distance, but the fact that these guys have like a significantly lower travel and lodging budget than their NHL counterparts. So like it's definitely like a mental test, but considering that being what it is, as well as the comp level in the league that year due to the lockout that eliminated the entire NHL season, like I really think that the Philadelphia Phantoms, like, I can't even say this like while acknowledging like my own biases because it's just like one of those things that's a fact, just factual. Like really, the 2005 Calder Cup win by those guys with so many top level pros in the league that wouldn't normally be there. While winning it during like the while winning it in just like such an absurd, demanding war of attrition of a postseason run. Uh, like that's literally one of the most impressive professional championships, really at any level of the sport, in my opinion. Just because of how much more challenging that an already ridiculous thing got. Much akin to just how the London Knights absolutely crushed everybody that same season en route to clean sweeping everything that they could win. Like man, as tragic as that lockout was, it did make for some absolutely fantastic dev hockey lore.
God, fucking an RJ Umberger was on a fucking heater that year.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he and Tony Vos just absolutely were studs that year as they became the joint first Pennsylvanians to ever win the Calder Cup.
Man, I wish that Umberger's NHL career had been closer to what he was able to do that year. But alas.
Yeah, same here. Trust me.
Also because he had just such a fun name.
Now I have to bring this on Cam because I have talked about this in various group chats before. Like I always thought it was appropriate that MTV had that sitcom that was literally just about a nerd with a big dick. The Hard Times RJ Burger. Like it was so damn close, and like if anybody like uh, was to have like a comparable, very similar name in throughout the totality of professional hockey history, it's appropriate that it was him. You know what? It's completely incongruous and unnecessary, but just because for absurdity's sake, I'm gonna drop the link to the IMDb page for that show in the comments right now. Like this is the time of year where you can do that sort of thing on this pod.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. I might make that a very crude meme to promote this episode with, even though it's not anywhere close to being at the core of the topics we've addressed. Like it's totally unnecessary, but
You know, I think the biggest confusion I have from that series' existence to take this to give this more time without speaking on the actual connection point. The fact that as his career went on, like David Katzenberger went on to be a producer for the reboot of It after being involved in that project is such a weird cognitive dissonance.
Katzenberg, yeah. Also known for his work on the Goldbergs. Like, fuck.
Yep. Katzenberg, Umberger, Goldberg from the Mighty Ducks doing meth. It's all connected. I like the fact that
Also, 2019 version of Child's Play as well.
you know, I very much appreciate Sean Weiss, unlike Bill Goldberg, being very open about his problems in life. Like, seeing him in the Once Upon a Time in Anaheim documentary, like, I like how, even though that was just Disney, like, knowing that that was Bob Iger, like, Disney propaganda PR, like, really didn't think they were going to let Stephen Weiss get so Stephen Weiss, yeah. Sean Weiss, thank you. Jesus Christ. Like, didn't expect them to let Sean Weiss actually, like, go down the rabbit hole of his addiction and recovery and, like, speak with a substantial amount of depth to it. Like, I don't usually expect Disney to allow uncomfortable topics like that to be so prominent in something like that. You know, at least unlike Stephen Weiss, Sean Weiss got a redemption arc where, you know, Stephen Weiss was really just the the iconic relic of the Florida Panthers period of incredible ineptitude after the Luongo trade, and his only opportunity to play for a respectable franchise in Detroit was an absolute shit show because he was A, too old, B, injury prone, and C, a terrible system fit.
I will say, Sean Weiss did celebrate his 5th anniversary of sobriety in December of last year, so there's that.
Yeah. Yeah. If I had a nickel for every Weiss that was involved in hockey.
You know what's really fitting about this is Mr. Anyone who plays in the AHL is a bust on X's last name was Weiss. So go figure. We've tied everything together by pointing this out.
Oh. Makes me want to sit down on a navy blue recliner and drink a tall, unsatisfying glass of cranberry juice.
The natural diuretic.
Because this is all just piss.
It really pisses me off. I could
Really,
do better.
I was gonna say,
will
really,
probably just sink lower instead, but keep going.
really pisses me off how fucking losers like Brad Marchand played in the AHL and had the audacity to win 2 Stanley Cup championships. Fuck that guy.
Same thing with Mike Richards and Jeff Carter.
You know, Mike Richards.
And fittingly enough, they were both on that Philadelphia Phantoms run. But keep going.
You know, the thing I have with Mike Richards, though, is I really appreciate he got two separate AHL runs that, you know, really brings us not fully back to the Sean Weiss comp, but, like, you know, somebody should do, like, a fictional gritty rewrite, gritty, of, like, you know, how to do Dwayne Johnson's Tooth Fairy better is, like, a gritty R-rated Uncut Gems style, like, Mike Richards narrative arc of AHL superstar and, you know, after playing for Kitchener, great AHL career, and then, like, the various opioid
Won a Mem's Cup
fueled,
with Kitchener as well. But keep going.
like, the success with Kitchener, the Phantoms, the first Flyers Cup run, yeah, where they obviously didn't complete the journey, him and his 2 championships with the Kings, and then just a gritty Uncut Gems style, like, his run with the Monarchs in 14-15.
And of course, they lost to the Chicago Brad Hawks. To tie it back to that earlier monologue.
Like, I don't know, like, somebody could do a really, really fucking good, like, somebody needs to do a Mike Richards inspired uncomfortable hockey film. I'd pay to see it.
Have it be distributed by A24 as well, just to give it some patrician points. Like that'd be great. It doesn't have to be a Safdie brothers film. I just would love to have that have like a Mike Richards inspired like dramatic poster with the fucking A24 logo on it.
And then, in the same spirit of Ghost in the Shell running parallel to Blade Runner, have A1 Pictures do a similarly gritty version of it 10 years later.
Beautiful.
Fuck a Dog's Red anime adaptation. I want a gritty anime adaptation of an A24 version of the story of Mike Richards. God. Someone, please. God. It's too goddamn bad Philip K. Dick is dead because.
It is appropriate. Keep going.
I was gonna say it's too bad he died in '82 and Richards was born in '85 because if that lined up perfectly, I probably would have just pissed myself in this chair.
Yeah. Yeah, if only. But I was gonna say it was appropriate that if we were gonna have like a digression, but I digress. Uh, of this nature, at the end of an episode, it's appropriate that it was this cultured after the amount of creative writing that we have partaken in and assisted each other with this past week that was more literary than hockey related.
Yeah, I'm a little sad I'm not going to be able to shoehorn any hockey into that narrative, even though a good bulk of the story takes place on a college campus that has a hockey team that was competitive theoretically in the narrative timeline of the fictional events, even though the actual chronological setting is never truly established. Much like the timeless droning of the UMass Lowell Riverhawks' inability to win a national championship.
Now I love that this reference is something that's been made because probably within like the next couple of weeks I'm probably gonna like give like an extensive lecture on their very decorated D2 history.
Yes.
Because we're getting to that point where I'll be talking about like that plus like I don't know the history of the Merrimack Valley Conference and shit. Because we're just at that time of year where that's the sort of content that can be put out that sort of is relevant to shit that's going on, and that'll be coming down the pipeline. But also, it's just like relevant because things have just screeched to a halt in terms of meaningful development.
I'm not gonna I'm not gonna lie to you. When you said Merrimack Valley hockey, based on an extended literary comparison, I'll bring up just to fill the space before the big finish this week. A little bit is I really thought you were gonna say the history of the Merrimack River. Like, god damn, like, are we that desperate for context? We're gonna talk about a kind of dirty body of water that runs through multiple states in New England. It's a budding character in Cracus Hall's manuscript, The Merrimack Homicides, and a recurring setting based quasi character in my own work by no intention, but damn, like, is the Merrimack River so impressive it deserves its own episode on a podcast about hockey?
In a roundabout way, it probably will. Like there will probably be like a whole episode dedicated to the old UML Merrimack College rivalry. Um, but it makes me sad that unlike in a place like Saskatchewan, that that even at its coldest, that river will never be safe to play river hockey on. Like, it has such like limited recreational utility as is. Although I do know at least one person who has swam across a very, very shitty section of it and on a bet just because he felt like he really wanted to prove that he could do it. And also because there was monetary incentive and he was in shape at that time due to being on a dive team, if I remember correctly. But you know, at minimum, I wish it could at least be of usage to us um, in that context in wintertime. But alas, our winters are not like Saskatchewan, and the waters of the Merrimack are not that hospitable because nothing in the Merrimack Valley is.
I used to think about trying to swim on the Merrimack in the winter pretty regularly. I can see the appeal.
I don't actually remember what time of year that he did that. I almost want to say it was an autumn venture. I have to ask him, but shout out to my boy Dalton Thompson, who has now made his way into the Black Stitch hockey lore.
Man, 78 episodes of lore, and man, I I'm glad that the YouTube and Spotify algorithms have had to internally transcribe the captions to all of this. Like, I'm really glad that I guess I'll say it, the brain rot shit posting that is verbalized in this podcast. I'm really glad that a computer somewhere has had to interpret every bizarre and incredulous and absurdist thing that has ever been said on this podcast.
Ethical technology usage.
And now I'm gonna make it worried about me where I mentioned the part where I don't know how to swim. Which has come up, I believe, during the infamous Ryan Mallett Ray Emery bit years ago on this podcast.
On literally episode 2, which of course was also the same episode where Trevor Zegras was compared to Sasuke Uchiha.
Man, talk about evergreen content. Like, some of it grows up, some of it doesn't age.
Yeah, that other example is especially prevalent considering that, as you pointed out, him getting traded to the Philadelphia market will help Zegras not lack hatred and just drive that comparison home even further.
Oh God, does that fucking mean Cam York is Itachi? Does that mean, by proxy, John Tortorella was the Clan? The Village or the Clan, Cam? The Village or the Clan? Just fucking Trevor Zegras sitting in his apartment thinking about how much Greg Cronin's ruined his fucking life, but Cam York was getting verbally abused by John Tortorella for years, but yet Trevor Zegras thought his struggles were tough.
The details of that drama are always so funny because, like, effectively, I think I got a tip somewhere, and this is all speculative, but I think the origins of it are that I think Cam effectively told him that he was going to be there longer than Torts was. And fuck. I think Torts basically said, if you come back here next year, I'll bury you. Which, like, so York definitely doesn't lack for, he's reserved, but he definitely doesn't lack for self-confidence. But even if he, like, were at his like most cocky. I don't think as a coach you should be thinking lower than that, and that seems to be what Torts effectively did. Fuck. I'll bury you. Goddamn.
the the village hidden in eastern Penn. I need to go to bed, man. This is definitely the I haven't slept properly in 2 days because I've been so immersed in creative adventures as well as other life events where sleep has become slightly more challenging.
Hey there, you. Way out there in the distance. Just getting flashbacks to our boy Gillespie parodying the song lyrics for that after that show at the Volcano Room. I can't remember exactly how he altered it, but I remember it making me laugh at the time.
You know, I love that guy. Great, good hockey player.
Oh, yeah.
Really, really interesting musician as well.
Yep.
Biggest Revocation fan I know,
Mm-hmm.
but also did an acid punk cover of Jolene that had something to do with I think vampires or some supernatural entity. I don't know. I listened to it. It was a fucking trip. I enjoyed it. It's like Beaker wearing leather while playing acid punk and pretending to be Dolly Parton with a guy that looks like adult Barry walking out of American Dad. Shout out to the band Sludge Surfer. They're canon now too. Barry from American Dad and Beaker walk into a bar.
I was watching Family Guy Fozzie Bear clips earlier, including that one that takes place in Saudi Arabia, appropriately enough. Bro pulled out his scimitar so fast.
And on that note, I think it's a good time to pivot to the big finish.
So, I think that so I'm pretty pleased with the alterations that were made to the Philadelphia roster in totality, as well as the draft that occurred to the point where like us apparently not winning out in the Maxim Shabanov bidding war isn't the biggest deal to me. Um, I think the depth would be better. Like, I think the Dvorak acquisition is better than people want to say, including Canadiens fans, despite them having beaten the drum for him for a number of years and using him for propaganda purposes on a number of occasions. But you know, obviously, like the Zegras acquisition speaks for itself, but I would think about the Dan Vladar pickup, and like I think that if they're running the tandem of him and Ayrson next year, then that should at least be like a baseline level of competency that improves the situation that existed last year. Because like the biggest problem was not even Ayrson himself. Nice. Uh, so much that as like I think that it was just a tough situation for him to be backed up by two guys who had worse goals saved above expected per 60 than him. Like literally both in totality, Fedotov and Kolosov had better GSAX, but only because they played fewer minutes. Their per 60 numbers were fucking terrible. So like I think that Vladar is a good enough pickup to where like you know that situation and the last line of defense is better than it was before. And I think that the D line, I think the blue line structure will improve, and I think we'll be playing to its strengths more frequently. I expect York to have a really, really solid season with because I anticipate that at minimum Puckett is going to give him a better treatment than Torts which isn't saying a lot, but definitely like he anticipates to play a freer game, which I think is going to assist things a lot, and I think is going to end up making that uh, five by just over 5 mil per season deal be one of the most economic goal deals in the league, particularly with the cap rising in the coming years. So overall, while I don't think this year is going to be outright transformative per se, I think there's a lot that is going to have them moving in a positive direction. And as when it gets closer, I imagine the predictions I make for the team will be pretty positive.
I'm actually going to end off on a pretty somber note. Uh, as this was reported in the Eagle Tribune this weekend, I wanted to wish a congratulations and a happy trails on a great hockey career to our collaborator, Matt Gover. It has been publicly released as of this weekend that he will not be returning to MCLA for ice hockey this season and will be pursuing golf full time. So just really wanted to congratulate him on a great career and wanted to say it on the air, before we bring him on in the future to reflect more on his playing career as he digests it and makes the transition to this next part of his life. I just really wanted to make sure it was said with some level of expediency to the Eagle Tribune, posting it in their sports section this weekend.
Was looking to see where I pinned up my wristband for that last game. I can actually make eye contact with it, so to speak, if I look directly across from me at my wall. It's interesting. Relic now for sure. What a run that was. Like, we didn't have the ending we wanted, but fuck, like, how do you, like, just to, to do some ridiculous shit like that as your final statement in that sport in a competitive context is some pretty sick shit. Hold your head up high, man, for all the shit that you did, and good luck in this next phase. But anyway, I was just laughing because my rabbit hole apparently most recently led me to the Wikipedia page for Lakeith Stanfield. But anyway, born one day after me, albeit 3 years before. But in any event, so as alluded to previously, this pod will be taking more of a retrospective look in the coming weeks, primarily, along with maybe some potential like debate/discourse topics as we've done in the past as well. And some of the written content that will come out in the near future will probably have more of that bent as well. I usually like to tease these things rather than get explicit, but because this is something to get excited about, I think I'll share it. A lot of the written content that I have planned will center on discussing, as I have in the past, more of the history of the Canadian Hockey League, to give people more of a taste of where, what sort of like lineage that some of these players that have committed to NCAA programs in these recent times. It's kind of driven by like the same motivation that I had in part when the CHL became such a main focus in the written content, is because of course, focus primarily on current events, but also in the past as well. With it being, such an important NHL feeder, I thought it was, useful to educate American and sometimes overseas audiences about that world of hockey that's so important, but maybe not very well understood or known about outside of its primary context. Um, it's basically just that now, but for it being of interest, for NCAA hockey fans, so they can know more about the environment that their incoming talent is coming from. Even if it's just going to for now primarily be about like what sort of lineage these guys were trying to live up to, because I'm sure I'll be touching upon like the decorated history of some of these very accomplished teams, such as the Oshawa Generals, um, the Medicine Hat Tigers teams of the past, the Gatineau Olympiques, et cetera, et cetera. I've written about the London Knights countless times at this point, but I'm sure they'll come up somewhere along this line as well, and plenty more. And of course, if situations are always dynamic and fluid in this sport, so I'm sure we'll have plenty of like current events that can spring up that will be analyzed also, and we'll respond to it in real time. But it is definitely at a slower point where we do have to be a little bit transformative in how we address things, but hopefully that'll still be of interest to people. And we appreciate your ongoing support. We look forward to more of it. And we thank you as always. And much appreciation to everybody who tuned in tonight. And thank you, of course, as always, to the people who are checking us out on Spotify and YouTube. We will see you again soon. Take care, everybody. Have a great night.